Before we get started, if you like what you see, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to watch more content like this and support what I do. Okay, now let's get to the video. Video games are my personal favorite storytelling medium, and because of that, it's been my goal to make, or at least design one, ever since 2017. Now, although I technically achieved that goal 2 years later, my attempts haven't really been up to snuff with what I'm actually going for. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the history and future of my time making and releasing games. Just a couple of notes before I dive in. One is that this video will have some overlap with my Lukeshardo video from a while back. So if you're confused about some of the details here, then you should go and check that video out for more information. And two, these are all my experiences and opinions. So don't get offended if I say some things here that don't align with what you think about storytelling and such. Before all of this, I had multiple other attempts at telling a story, including a YouTube series, a written story, and a comic. All of these revolved around my mascot at the time, Lukeshardo. Sometime later on, I just had the random thought of wanting to make a video game based on the Red Robo Bastard, and as I realized that the medium is way more flexible, enjoyable, and immersive than other media like books or movies, since you actually get to take part in the story and control where it goes through a variety of ways, which is all the more evident when you plop down up to $1,000 for a VR headset and can literally insert yourself into a game world. So after that thought, I immediately started brainstorming ideas on what this Lukeshardo game could be, and ended up on a 3D third-person character action game inspired by Transformers Devastation, which is an underrated gem of a game, and I'm planning to make another video talking about it. The story would also be the one from my previous scrapped continuity. You know, the one that was the focus of 2 YouTube series on one of my old channels. After doing that, I looked up a game engine, and ended up with Unreal Engine 4. I downloaded the Epic Games Launcher, and did just about nothing with it. Because if you've been attentive throughout the video so far, I've never mentioned anything about coding. And that's because I had no idea on how to do it, and never regarded it during my thought process. So after realizing this, I stumbled upon Codecademy to, get this, actually learn how to code, starting off with JavaScript, which was one of the languages recommended to me by the site. I did the usual tutorials on it, and even took notes on what I learned. Yep, it was going neatly. Until I got bored with it the next week. And also figured out that UE4 can't really work with JavaScript. So what now? I mostly put the gig on hold, and focused on other crap like school. Speaking of, Q Computer Science class, possibly my favorite class I had at school. Besides having a metric shit ton of free time thanks to the classes being so easy and done quickly, it had a few subjects that really piqued my interest, such as the case for the course that I chose myself, including a few that solely focused on coding, specifically binary, Python, and Java, which is very different from JavaScript, believe me. One of the subjects was even a project revolving around one GameMaker Studio 2, because why not use an engine that was used for Hyper Light Drifter, Levelhead, and goddamn Undertale? So me and a partner got to work on the project, with the first part being an Asteroids clone tutorial, which was easy enough, but as luck would have it, I had to go to Cuba during the second part, meaning half the coding was done by my partner. Anyway, the second part was just a simple 2D platformer, and if you've been with me for long enough, you'll know what it is. Once I got back, I relegated myself to most of the other stuff for the game, including name, visuals, and level design. This game was called GMG, Green Means Gold, and it was glorious. I was as prideful as could be when the game was completed. I showed it off to everyone I could, even after I realized that the entire project was basically worthless since it wasn't really marked at all. I even made a commercial skit for it with a group of friends for a media arts project, and it was equally as glorious as the game itself. I wish I could upload it, but I feel like a few people at my school would get pissed off if I did. So I'll just have to keep it in storage for now, but still, it's just glorious. After making the game, I made an itch.io account and uploaded my game onto the site. This led me to making a separate Instagram account dedicated to projects like GMG, which was promptly abandoned a while later because I didn't really have that much to offer on it. What was this account called? Luke's Project Scarf, or LPS for short. There. Now you know. You don't have to guess what the end of my username stands for. It was previously called Scarf Productions and other stuff like that, but I ended up with LPS because it sounded pretty good long and short. Nowadays, nothing really happens with it, but I want to do some other stuff under its name sometime in the future. The next chapter in this story begins with GameMaker's Toolkit, a YouTube channel that talks about game design and gives advice on how to do it properly. I follow this guy and his advice when coming up with stuff for Lukeshardo, but I'll talk about that later. Anyway, this guy has a thing every year called a Game Jam, which is an event on itch where people make games centered around a theme for a limited amount of time. The theme for the GMTK Game Jam 2019 was Only One, which was a pretty broad theme. So really one can make anything around it. So when the 3-day limit I had, I got to work with GMS2 and talk to others in the event's Discord server. So the idea I had was going to be only one obstacle, a game with, get this, only one obstacle that the player has no choice but to run into while being berated by an asshole narrator. The first day was mostly spent on making the script for the narrator, which went pretty well, but the other 2 days were more interesting. The second day, I started to actually make the game, including copying some of the movement and collision code from GMG. And this is where the fans start to get dirty from all the shit being thrown at it. Because the first thing to go wrong is the implementation of the text boxes, as the game relies so heavily on text. I had to try to put them in, which went horribly wrong, no matter how hard I tried and how many tutorials I looked up. Next, I had to go to my friend's band concert, which was neat, but damn was it a time waster. In a time where I couldn't waste any. After trying to figure out what to do for the text, I had a new idea on how to solve it. So on the final day, I woke up early to painstakingly make sprites and objects of each letter that was used in the script, all while under a time limit to upload. I managed to finish the game just in time and try to upload it. And then the itch servers crashed because so many people were uploading their games at the same time. So after that, I realized a few hours later that my game did manage to upload on itch. Both of these games can be found on my itch.io profile, and they're free to download for everyone. The second one may have a couple little bugs in it, but they're both pretty short and don't waste that much time. Lastly, I tried to make a demo for a new concept I had for a Lukeshardo game. Most of it was recycled code from GMG, again, and some new stuff for double jumping and wall jumping, which both didn't work all too well. So yeah, I gave up on it. And that's really it for me in game making. Nowadays, I mainly focus on other ventures, and not as much for game making. Plus, I sort of changed my goals from game making to game design, which are two different things. Unlike general game development or game programming, game design doesn't require that much coding. And I realized later on that coding is extremely boring for me. Sorry if you like coding, but still. So, I decided to switch my goals more towards the design aspect and not focus on the code as much. The only thing I did more recently that could even remotely be seen as game development would be with level editors in games such as Mario Maker 2 and Rec Room. In the future, I'm still planning to have a Lukeshardo game come out, this time under LPS, as a 2D Metroidvania beat-em-up made in Unity, inspired by the likes of Mega Man, Sonic the Hedgehog, and again Transformers Devastation, because that game is still an underrated gem and you should try and get it, even though it's off of digital stores. Just play it. It's good. Along with the shift in gameplay, it'll also have a whole new story to boot, completely different from the last one I had. Well, I did say it was scrapped earlier, so that probably gave some sort of clue. Don't worry, I still have that goal, and I still wish to achieve it later on in life. Just you wait for what's to come in God knows how many years' time. And yeah, sorry for the anticlimactic ending, but that's really all I have for this video. So, I'll see you next time.